Am I audible? Can we start?
Yes, ma'am. Just wait for 5 minutes. Ma'am, you can start now. You're muted, ma'am. You're muted. Just unmute it.
Sorry, ma'am. Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
See, just to understand, were you able to understand the contents shared yesterday with you, both visually as well as orally? Was I communicable to you? Did I communicate the subject to you? Last, did you have any difficulty in understanding what was communicated yesterday?
No, ma'am.
Thank you for that. So we will continue with what we were doing yesterday. Yesterday, what we saw was we just have a quick recap. We saw what was research, the meaning. How do you define research? Then we saw a few examples, or with a few examples, we saw what is research. And then we said what were the types of research. Basically, we spoke about descriptive research, analytical research, explanatory research, exploratory research, and correlative research. So now let us continue from there. Let us see why should one learn the subject of research methodology, which is a very important subject to be learned. And as a student, if you have to prepare for your career, you need to do research. They saw right from the beginning, the moment you got a job, how you were planning to communicate was itself a research, right? Then, apart from that, once you get into this subject, you will be trained to do better research. I feel we can have some sessions offline, say maybe 1 week or so. After that, we can say, I'll come on a Saturday. I can groom you to prepare some research proposals, or wherein we can share ideas of writing a research paper, small topics, how to identify research topics, how to make them into a proper research, how to look at them in a research angle, and think of questions that you have to think about when you think of researching something, right? So then, the moment you keep thinking on those angles, you start studying the subject with interest, and you will definitely be trained to do a better research. Now, any student, when you learn this subject, you will develop a disciplined thinking, in the sense that a systematic way of thinking, how things will work this way or how things will not work this way, and what is the alternate to this way of thinking. Any subject matter, any concept for that matter, when we uh, teach small concepts to students, this is the first thing, to small students, school students, when we tell them, when we teach them a small concept, air, we tell them you visualize, you feel the air, and then you see what all you can do, right? The same way, right from the beginning, when we are asking them to think in a disciplined way, we are going to say, this is how you think, and this is how things are going to work. So, therefore, you will also have a clarity when you start thinking about any subject, and you will have a disciplined way of thinking about it, or a systematic way of visualizing it. And when I talk about how to observe a field very objectively, like when you see a computer or when you see a program for our IT students specifically, or anybody else, how will you basically observe? You will see the syntax in the code. You will see what you have written, what is your objective. Syntax, because the language has certain syntax, or a discipline to be written in. So you will use those punctuations, those syntax when you are writing the code. That has to, and combining the objectives. So this is again a disciplined way of thinking, right? So this is because you are trained to do it. Same way, when I talk about commerce students, we talk about how an industry works. Supposing I tell them you are going to, see and tell me what is the performance of Tata Steel, right? So when they are going to see, they've been trained to think in terms of profits, revenue, sales, and sales revenue, and then how much of salary is being paid, etc. Right? So when you see the performance, what is the expenditure, what is the revenue, what is the profit, all these things they have been taught. They've been trained. So those applications will be brought in when it's a research angle of thing. I hope I'm clear. I hope I'm clear. So, and again, it will enable thorough understanding of the logic behind each and every research problem. Why am I asking you to think about a steel company, right? In what angle should you think? What is the logic behind analyzing the revenue in the particular company, right? So this logic is brought to him. Same way when I gave you the example of IT, because we have IT students also, we have commerce students also. So I am not an IT person, but to the best of my knowledge, whatever I feel, whatever I know, I'm sharing with you. I may be, I may not be accurate. So you may correct me if you want. See, why am I saying you should have syntax? Because syntax is the one that the machine understands, where some line terminates or some command terminates, etc. So you need to think, what should I apply when I'm asked to develop this? When I'm asked to develop that, what should I apply? Or why should I observe the revenue? Or why should I observe the performance in the, why should I observe the profit when I'm talking about performance? So there is a logic, and what should be done first, what should be done later also helps you when you learn the subject research methodology as a student. Again, it will help you evaluate the results. The moment you see the performance of a company, say I tell you last 5 years, you yourself will start understanding. You will not just say profit of it is this. I told you to analyze the performance. So obviously you will go to the past, right? So therefore, the ability that you have in understanding the concept of performance, applying it to that company, and then evaluating the results of that company, keeping in line for comparison. All these abilities will definitely get enhanced when you study the subject research methodology. Again, the evaluated results you can always see with confidence, and you can always say if it has gone down. You may even consider forecasting. This also ability of the forecasting the results also. Forecasting in the sense, आगे क्या होगा? Like last time my revenue got boosted because I incurred advertising expenditure. Say 20% of the cost was devoted towards advertising expenditure, and hence there was a 50% boost in revenue. What if I increase the advertising expenditure to 30%? Will I get a 58, 59% increase in the revenue? That can be forecasted, because even if you have fared down or fared less, you can face the results with confidence. You can know I have made this mistake and hence I have to do it this way. I hope I'm clear. Are you able to understand? And as well as when you talk about government, business administration, or any kind of community development, social work, you are able to, uh, I mean, it is going to be very useful to you in the sense any angle when you're facing the research, when you're conducting research. Research is nothing but it increases some amount of your intuition. Intuition means that kind of thought process where you will be able to make some amount of judgment about a process or a phenomenon or about a group of people, what will be their reaction to a particular action, etc. Right? Are you able to understand? If you learn the subject, you can do better research. You get a proper training to do it. Secondly, you can think in a very disciplined and a systematic way. You can do things. And apart from that, every field, everything that you observe will be with an object, not just looking at like how you look through the window and then just pass on enjoying. No, you will start objectively thinking. right? And analyzing things from within. And everywhere there is a logic applied. Whenever you learn about any research problem, you start applying the logic. Because of the advertising extra expenditure, my sales has gone up, right? And then it will also increase the ability to evaluate the results. Has it gone up? Has it gone down? If I could have done it this way, and also face whatever I have done with confidence. I may have made a mistake. Yes, but I have made a mistake. I can rectify it. It gives me confidence. Plus, when there is, I mean, any kind of field, whether it is government, business administration, even government does certain forecasting, a lot of research, etc. There are companies have a department itself called as research and development. Majority of the companies, community development and social work. Any doubt so far? This is why, as a student, you should be studying research methodology. I hope I'm clear, right? Now, what are the 7 steps? When I said research yesterday, somebody asked me, each and every step will be taught to you in detail or will be discussed with you in detail as a chapter. We first define a research problem. Well, I mean, you are going to define a problem and how are you going to research about it? So, when I say research problem, I told you analyze the performance of the company, right? So the performance of the company, it has to be analyzed in the sense it is understood what has gone up, what has gone down. Obviously, the moment I see this year's, I will be placing it with other years, which means I need to see how have I fared in comparison, either with my past or either with my peers or with the industry. And then I'm going to review literature in the sense I'm going to see in the past people have conducted research in this field, right? When people have conducted research in this field, I'm going to see how the research and what is the results that they have come up with. Are you following? I mean, people who have already conducted research here, they must have come up with certain amount of results. Okay, and when they have come up with certain amount of results, what is the result that they have come up with? And how is it meeting my objective? Because any research should have an objective. Without an objective, I cannot actually conduct a research. Therefore, when I conduct a research, I should have the objective. And people in the past, all those who have conducted, either have got the same conclusion as me, or have differed from the conclusion as me, or it may the objective or the way they are looking at the problem may be different. How different is it? That also I understand. And supposing if they have conducted a similar research in aluminum company, there is a gap that not many people have conducted in steel company. That was why I was to take up a steel company and conduct a research. Then I formulate a hypothesis. Any doubt so far? I'm giving a brief idea of what each is. First of all, you need to define what your research is. A research problem has to be defined. How do you look at a statement? Performance of Tata Steel in 2024. When I say performance, it obviously includes in comparison with either past or peers. My peers could be JSW Steel or Jindal Steel and so on. Or with the industry. Industry talks about a group of company in the same business, right? And then I need to review literatures, मतलब past studies, उनके findings क्या है, उन्होंने क्या methods use किया है study करने को, और उनके conclusions क्या है, is it conclusions and findings क्या है, is it going in line with whatever I have found, or is there a gap? If there is a gap, can I fill that gap? That is what I need to check. Are you able to follow? Are you able to follow? Class? Are you listening to me? Are you listening to me, class? I don't hear anything from you. Are you listening to me? I think I'm missing the response. Class, are you listening to me? Can I get some response from one of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then we formulate a hypothesis. I told you yesterday, hypothesis is an assumption that the researcher makes. You know, when I was to analyze the performance of a Tata Steel, right? I said I made an assumption saying because of the advertising expenditure incurred, my revenue has gone up. Okay. So when I say this, it is it is a predetermined notion because I have incurred advertising expenditure. I have got revenue. So I'm going to check that. This is there in my mind. So I formulate it as a hypothesis and I'm going to focus that as my objective because my aim is to find out what is the cause that my revenue has gone up this year, right? So मेरे मन में ये था कि because of the advertising expenditure that I have incurred, my revenue has gone up. So ये मन में रखते हुए I'm going to prepare a research design. What exactly is a research design? We define research design as a blueprint of the research, like how, what is going to be my objective, what is the methodology that I'm going to follow. Methodology bola to I'm going to have what is the way, what is the source of data, how long is it going to take for me to collect the data, how long is it going to take for me to analyze the data, how long is it going to take for me to prepare the results, and how long is it going to take for me to say interpret and prepare a research report, because any research has to be reported. So it is going to be a blueprint of how and the timeline for each step in research. समझ में आ रहा है? And I'm going to collect data. Data could be from primary or secondary source. We will talk about this when we come to data collection. It's a very big chapter, right? For any research, you will need either data or information which has to be processed into data, and then when you gather this data, you're going to take some time, right? Because your research is going to be a focused activity, so you will need information or data for it, and then you are going to analyze the data, whatever method of research you choose. Even if it is descriptive research, you need to uh, I mean do some analysis on the data that you have collected and interpret the data. मतलब whatever the data analyzed has to be presented, and that presentation has to be interpreted, and report has to be written on it, right? Any doubt so far? Any doubt? Any doubt? Now, what is the objective of a research, or what are the objectives of any research? See, first of all, purpose of research is to discover answers, right? when you apply scientific procedures, यहाँ पे बोलते हैं, it doesn't mean you have all those science laboratories, etc. Systematic way of doing things. That is what we say, right? Any research has to find out any hidden truth. When I told you I was to analyze Tata Steel's performance, right? If I felt that the revenues have gone up, I analyzed various figures. I analyzed the cost incurred, I analyzed the gross profit, I analyzed the net profit, I saw what were the revenues, and then, I mean, first revenues, then the profit, and then I saw what is the amount of tax I have paid and what is left with me, which means both the income statement or P&L statement, and I would say trading P&L and the balance sheet. What am I left with after this is all, after the process is over? And I found the performance has gone up, and it is done very well, right? And it has done almost a lot better than the last 5 years, though it is not on par with companies like Jindal Steel, JSW Steel. So, I mean, I'm just quoting it to you as an example. So, where I saw a good performance as well as not on performance with two of its peers. So, therefore, there was some question that was answered, like, has it gone up? If it has gone up, yes. But how well has it gone up? How not well has it gone up, etc. My questions were answered, and there were certain hidden facts that have been told. Are you following? Are you able to understand, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And plus, you also gained the phenomenon, right? I mean, you also gained familiarity with the phenomenon, like something new you did, right? When I said performance, you could have definitely analyzed the balance sheet, income statement, P&L statement, and then you could have said, okay, this is the profit, this is the law, this is the revenue, this is the salaries that was paid, operating expenses, ek karke you could have done. But when I say performance, performance has to be over the period, has it done well? Compared to last year, has it done well? And in case the same trend is continued, will it do well? So it is giving you a new insight, not just reporting its balance sheet and P&L in a different way. So it has given you another term with an object. You have explored a lot of other things. You also saw Jindal Steel's performance. You saw, is my company matching with Jindal Steel? If yes, in what way? This has also improved, that has also improved, but it could do better. So there was a new insight you saw into it. And apart from that, you are accurately portraying the characteristics. Like if it is going to be, I mean, I would say, let us stick with this example. Like for example, any situation like advertising expenditure has boosted. The advertisements have reached the people whom it has to reach. Those things are also portrayed properly, and hence the revenue has gone up. So again, when you talk about that, or maybe even an individual, like for example, the company's sales managers were playing a very good role or a vital role in boosting up the sales of the company in collaboration with the marketing and advertising departments of the uh, company, and therefore the sales have gone up, which means this shows their enthusiasm also. Now, when you see, you determine the frequency with which something occurs. Like, for example, this time was the only time I have introduced the advertising expenditure, and I've incurred an extra cost, which has given me a better result. Like, for example, like if I have not done this, this is also in a way of diagnosing. Basically, when I say diagnostic, did we discuss diagnostic research? If we have not, I will discuss after I finish this, okay? After I finish this slide. So when I say you determine how frequently can I incur this? Every 5 years? Yes. Every year, will it be feasible for me? You are trying to forecast, and then you are giving a scenario, if I incur advertising expenditure every year, I think it has already reached. So repetition of advertising expenditure may lead to my pushing up of the cost. So when I push up the cost, so do you think it will give me the same amount of results? So there could be an increase in the profit, but not to the extent that I would want. And therefore, I will do it once every 5 years, right? So, I mean, all these things I can basically tell you how it works. Any doubts so far? Or how frequently something occurs and how that particular extra thing that I have incurred has helped me in boosting up the performance, or if it has fallen, this has been added to the cost of the company. These things can be found out whenever I do something extra, right? Though it is associated with studies, what has caused this, why is it happening, and then how will it happen if I do something else? Like, for example, I hire or I pay more salary to, or introduce some incentives to the managers who have contributed this, right? So will it help me in increasing their performance? It may, it may not. So all these things can be researched. So again, testing of a hypothesis, basically, as I told you, what was the hypothesis initially I had in mind? Advertising expenditures have boosted up the revenue, right? So I can test that also. Is it actually advertising expenditure that has boosted up the revenue, or is there some other factor? So I can think about that in these lines. Any doubts so far? Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I said I will tell you what is diagnostic research. Basically, diagnostic research very popularly used in medical, where an individual is diagnosed. You are tested thoroughly, and then they diagnose you with some illness. Same way, everywhere it can be used, but this is popularly used when we learn medical or when we associate it with medical terms. Correct? You are diagnosed with a common cold. You are diagnosed with a viral fever, right? So, but then when you talk about non-medical fields like commerce, I told you, we said we'll associate it with the same example. I told you there is a diagnosis as to why is my revenue up this year? What has caused this? So I said I probed into the expenditures, I probed into all the facts, and then I found out that it is because of the what do you say? It is because of the advertising expenses that I have incurred. It has gone up. Any doubts so far? Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Can one of you state an example? You can take 2 minutes out, think of an example and convert it to a research. I know it is too early. It's just one class that we have met, and some of you are learning it for the first time, but if you can try, else I will proceed. I'll give you just 1 minute. If one of you can raise your hands or volunteer to answer. If you're not answering in a minute, I will proceed with what I. Fine, then we proceed with what I. Why should you actually do a research? Research, first of all, to discover answers to questions. I told you how was the performance this year of the company, right? So I had to research, and I discovered that it was the additional advertising expenditure that I have done, which I have not done for the last few years, assuming, right, has boosted up my revenue, right? So which means there is a purpose. I needed an answer. Why did it go up? First of all, I wanted to know how is the performance. And when I said, when I decided, when I got to know the performance, I'm going to say it has, boosted up. It has gone up. When it has gone up, what was the cost again, right? Now, the main aim actually is to find out those facts that have not been discovered, right? For example, I never thought my extra expenditure is going to boost up the performance. And I did realize now. See, this 30% increase in the cost has boosted up my profits to 53%. So can I try doing it again? This is what I will be thinking. Now, again, to gain familiarity with the phenomenon. Basically, I'm going to start like this was a new insight that I got. Should I try it every year? Or should I say, this is helping me? Should I try reducing the expenditure and see? Right? So these are the areas. Or what if I increase the incentives of existing people, which will be just 15% of my new advertising expenditure, wherein 15% cut in the cost, as well as I will see an increase in the revenue. These are some new insights that I'm exploring. I gained what actually had happened. I gained familiarity with what actually had happened, and I'm trying to see if something new can happen. And apart from that, whatever has happened, the situation is something new. It has all sales has gone up, revenue has gone up, profit has gone up. So what exactly is the scenario? I have portrayed it. I have given you a clear picture of what has happened, right? And then I'm going to determine how frequently is this happening. Say 6 years back, my managers were given an incentive based on their performance. This helped them. This motivated them and then helped them perform better. So that is again another thing. So there are certain things that I'm saying every 5 years. If I'm going to introduce a bonus, right? Will it again help me increase my revenue or help me increase my profit? And again, when I said uh, causal relationship, we are going to test the cause and its effects. Any doubts so far? We saw what is the meaning of research, and then we saw the different types of research. Then we spoke about why should one learn research methodology, or why is the subject important? Why should one carry out research? And what are the objectives of a research? Any doubts so far? And what are the steps in research? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Now, with this as the background, can we have a small discussion on identifying a research problem? How do you identify a research problem? Which means when I say something, right? Supposing I say, um, when I come to your class, I need to understand how many of you are attentive, right? So, uh, how do I identify? It's a problem that is posed to me, correct? How do I say it is a research problem? Or I am going to say that now, like for example, I'm told to say, see how many of you understood what I said. So, what are the methods that you can think of? See, supposing I ask you to give a presentation, okay, and I'm going to tell you give a presentation, and then what will be your objective? If I'm asking you to give a presentation on some topic. Class, are you able to understand? Are you able to understand? In case I ask you to give a presentation on some topic, I will tell you, can somebody volunteer to answer? What will be your objective? Just give the presentation and then go. How about one of you answering? How about, one of you answering this? Am I not, are you not able to understand what I'm trying to tell you? See, I don't mind speaking, but then if you interact, it is better. If I am asked to give a presentation on any topic, I will first of all make sure, see, once I am preparing the presentation, my objective will be everybody understands what I am trying to communicate. If I am asked to discuss this research methodology topic with you, I will make sure everybody understands, right? So, my effort will be only towards making you people understand, right? Therefore, when I say any topic or title of a research, right, or any problem is the heart of the study, which means my central focus will be I will have to communicate this with the students. The subject in detail has to be communicated with the students. That is going to be my central research problem, right? Why am associating whatever I am giving as delivering as lecture with your research problem? Because this is also basically like, have I communicated it all to you? Like when I come to your class, give a presentation on how to identify research problem, and I go out. I am asked outside, did the students understand? My one way of asking is, I'm going to ask you, did you all understand? Yes. Supposing you all say yes, I will suggest, why don't you give me a fill my feedback form up. Either I may fill a feedback form up, I will collect it from you, and then I will understand. Yes, they have understood. If not, I will ask you what went wrong. Either you tell me orally and I will jot down and I will make a proper listing. Or you will say that, ma'am, you were not audible, or ma'am, it was monologuous, and we were not able to, contribute to that, or we were not able to, participate in the discussion. Or you would say that, ma'am, the subject completely you spoke, the language in which you spoke was completely not understandable by us. So all these could be some issues that you were facing, you were not able to understand, right? So therefore, this is also a research problem. Small topics you can take up, you can think, this is again a way of researching what went wrong with my lecture. Students have said they did not understand. Why? This is what it is. Class, are you understanding? Start interacting, because it makes it easy, it makes it more interesting when you also think of incidents, when you also want to think, share something that has happened, and you are able to, small on a daily basis, we are all involved in research. So what is the meaning of a research problem? Basically, principle guiding analysis. Like when I talk about writing a research paper, or should we talk about this a little later? Class? I thought I'll just start off so that when you have your projects ready, I'll definitely go step by step. But then this was something where you have to identify a research problem. You will be asked to submit your topics on what research you want to conduct, right? You all have research projects to be submitted. Class? Why am I not receiving any response?
Till not no, no ma'am.
I don't
Hello.
understand. Sorry, can you be, hello?
Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Not now, ma'am.
Not now.
For final
Hello?
year, you asking for final year report?
Acha, you are not asked to submit the topics now. Okay, okay.
Okay.
Is that
Yes,
what
ma'am.
you mean? But I suggest you start taking up small. You don't even have assignments.
Not ma'am.
Okay, you don't have assignments. But henceforth, when we are learning research methodology to make good use of the subject that you have learned, I would want you to start. Yes, Sanika. Sanika, you had raised your hands. So every small thing that you see, think from research angle. Like I told you, a day-to-day life problem, how to commute to work, right? Or even the moment you wake up in the morning and you have to leave for work. So you all had planned this. How did you prepare? Like if I attend, supposing I have to be at workplace at 10 o'clock in the morning, 1 hour I'll attend the lecture, then I will, leave for work, right? All these were researched and then found out, correct? In the sense, it may not be a research work writing a report, but then when you thought it was a systematic process that you analyze inside your mind, inside your brain. Supposing I tell you I'm going to take from 7:30 to 9:30, I want that time. You would have not said, you would have said a no because you are researching. I need to reach workplace at this time. So therefore, it might not work for me, correct? We don't blindly say yes or no to anything. We do a bit of analysis inside our mind. Will it be feasible for me to sit for a 2 hour lecture? So therefore, you are from inside, you are doing some amount of analysis. Therefore, everything that we do on a day-to-day basis, we don't realize, but they are all research from inside. When I say I have guests at home at 10 o'clock, I need to cook breakfast. I need to research what time should I get up, what should I make for breakfast, which is the fastest breakfast that I can do. All these things are questions that I'm trying to answer. Are you following?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Basically,
ma'am.
oh, thank you. Basically, it is a main organizing principle which is going to analyze your paper or whatever research. Forget about research paper. Even otherwise, it is going to organize. And therefore, the problem under investigation is going to be like you are going to, we are going to talk about academic research or any kind of research, even on the other, even otherwise, any investigation. What time should I wake up? What time should get ready, go to the kitchen, etc. All these are a way of investigation. If it is going to be a proper research, the thing, I'm going to say you have analyzed on Tata Steel, so you have organized it, you know what it is, you are going to write it in such a way. This is the problem statement. I need to report the performance of Tata Steel for the year 2024, and therefore you are going to start investigating, and then you are going to write the report based on that. Again, it is a core of subject matter. When I talk about academic research, for a scholarly communication, the language we use to write research is completely, we call it as academic writing. You are going to follow academic writing. When you identify a research problem has to be academically written. Because many of you, when you submit your projects, we see There is hardly any research. It is all copied, pasted. Sometimes even the web links appear. Those blue lines as links, they also appear, right? So this is not the way. Any research, when you do it, you enjoy and do it. It is definitely a process to be enjoyed. So when you enjoy and do it, you will be able to do it in a proper systematic way. So we have to first of all talk to people, read, and then observe the phenomenon, and then decide this is the topic of my interest, and I'm going to research on this. Any doubts so far? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
The previous slide alone was slightly technical, more of academic writing, because research pertains to research that we are learning. Is all pertaining to your academic research, right? So somewhere I did insert certain the same technical slides, but it is very important. Now, what are the sources of a research problem? Where all can you find a research problem? Say first of all, you are identifying a research problem, right? So when you identify a research problem, this has to be as simple as you are going to observe any kind of complication, say in your workplace, or say you may, as I told you, workplace may, say for example, how to fit into a workplace. Like you have just joined, you all are, say for example, you all have got placements with some reputed company, say Tata Steel, right? All of you are in, some of you are in marketing department, some of you in accounts, some of you in IT, and etc. etc. Right? Supposing Tata Steel has recruited you, how will you fit into that? Because you are all not used to a proper work culture, right? You may be, many of you may be working, but then when you work part time and when you work full time, it all matters. And that too, when you have a proper job, in the sense a high paying job and a better job as postgraduates, it does make a difference. So you need to fit into that workplace. So you're going to observe how simple or complicated, what issues are there, how is your peer, how is your superior, how is your person who is going to be working in the other department, who is going to be your friend, etc. All these things are observed, and you need to fit into that. So you have a mental research going on, correct? So you should know. Even when you communicate, you should observe how am I to communicate, how am I communicating. If I've made a mistake, what mistake did I make? How will I rectify it? All these things. So on a day-to-day basis, you have a lot of research that is happening. That is what I kept saying from the first sentence. Like how to like say how to adjust in the workplace or fit into the workplace, or how to be, when you perform something, when you are given a task, how to do. Like for example, you were given a task of analyzing the performance of Tata Steel. So obviously, when I told you that, you were also into the task. You did it, so you have to do it in a systematic way. What should I actually, the problem statement was to analyze the performance of Tata Steel. Then what exactly should you look at? What exactly should you project? What exactly should you highlight? All these were very, very important. And apart from that, there is another source. What were the sources? Day-to-day activities, workplace, home, or any other phenomenon that you observe, etc. Right? It could be scholarly arena. As I told you, you are going to go through research reports. Like for example, you would have gone through, like Tata Steel ka bola to, you would have seen company performance को कैसे research करते हैं. So you would have seen a lot of presentations made earlier, or reports that have been published, or somebody must have helped you. पहले ऐसे करो. You would have communicated this. Supposing you come and talk to me, I will tell you, check for these parameters. And when you see all these, you will understand. So you can take another companies has been published. So you can check that. On similar lines, you can do your work also, right? You can talk to people. You can find out journals, or you can find out databases, you can have recommendations, and you can also see if there is a research gap. Somebody has not done this for steel, so you are doing that for steel. People have done this for Hindustan Zinc. People have done this for aluminum companies, right? But steel is still left. So I am going to research on steel. And if there is a theory, like for example, higher incentives to employees gives better performance, that can also be looked out. If you can see what is the incentive given to the employee, how is their performance, etc., can be researched upon. Any doubts so far? Now, once you feel this is a problem that is worth researching, right? You need to know, say, is it worth the research? And if at all it is worth the research, and if it is worth the task, how is it that I am going to do? First of all, हमेशा हम करते हैं. Like for example, when you have to submit a project, supposing you have chosen investment bank, right? Now, nobody will say, I'm going to do a research on investment bank. There has to be some this thing to pick. Say, for example, performance of investment bank in India, a case study of, say, some investment bank limited. And then you start seeing them, right, for the last 5 years, etc. Correct? Up broad area tha investment bank. Then you narrowed it down to performance, right? Then you narrowed it down to, say, for example, in India. Then you still narrowed it down to case study and say for the last 5 years. समझ में आ रहा है? So when I started, I said defining and redefining a problem. Same way, now you are evaluating. So I cannot do a proper research, being a researcher at NCOM or MSc level, on investment bank, because it's a very broad area. Investment bank में क्या करना है? This is the first thing that my guide will ask me. You all will be having a guide. My guide will ask, क्या करना है investment bank? And then I will be like, what will I do on investment bank? Fine, I will change the topic to merchant bank. Same question, right? This is what students do generally. That is why I tell you, keep narrowing it in such a way that it is worth the research. Are you following? खाना बनाना है, क्या खाना बनाना है? So I need to define. Dal, yes, क्या दाल बनाना? That also I need to define, right? And roti, yes, क्या roti बनाना? Etc. Are you following? खाना कभी बनाना है?
Yes, ma'am.
For lunch. Same way, क्या बनाना है? Roti, dal, specify. What roti, what dal, how much to make, all these are all narrowed down. See, they may be day to day. They may not sound worthwhile, but it is also a research that one makes. There are 20 people coming, so I need to know on an average each of them eats 5 rotis. Then obviously I need to make 100 rotis, right? So I will make 5 or 6 in addition. So these are all day-to-day life problems, but then it is worth the research, because I need to, when I do this, and it has to be, applied. Any research is always applied. So I have to apply whatever I mentally process into action. Are you following, class?
Yes, ma'am.
And any research problem will be appropriate only when you see literature. मतलब इसके पहले किसी ने study किया होगा या similar lines में किया होगा, इसको नहीं किया होगा, so you are doing here, right? या इसी को किया होगा, but they have done it for a different industry, different country, so you are doing it for this industry, this country, right? So again, plus it has to be worthwhile. When I said performance of steel company, yes, Tata Steel, it is worth. For some purpose you are doing. You're not just doing it for ऐसे नहीं कर रहे. कोई purpose के लिए कर रहे. Maybe you want to, understand how the steel sector performs, because your company must have got an order, or you want to, do some business dealing with it, right? And then again, what happens is it has to be timely. When I say performance now as compared to performance in 2019, so which means it is a timely research. 2024 का मैं नहीं करूंगी कि 2001 में कैसा था ये करके अभी रिपोर्ट करके किसी को फायदा नहीं. I'm not, teaching some history to the students. Same way, it has to be something novel and specific. When I told you specific, you remember I said investment bank में project करना है, क्या करना है? So investment banks in India, right? Performance of investment banks in India in the last 5 years, right? So therefore, I specified everywhere there was a specification. Performance of Tata Steel in the year 2024. So again, when I say stronger research problems are going to be successful, in the sense when you present, you will have an objective presentation. Objectively, they can apply. Same way, they can also be published. So we saw what is the purpose of research, why should one learn the subject, research methodology, and how to identify a research problem, and what are the sources of research problem, and then if you have chosen a research problem, how to evaluate the research problem, if it is worth it, otherwise how can you make it worth it. Any doubts so far? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Sure.
Yes.
Do you want me to continue? I can still continue if you're okay.
If you want, you can continue, ma'am, because today is a holiday.
Sure. Can we continue this? We'll finish this one and then say for another till 8:45 we'll continue. Okay. And when we say the research problem is supported by literature, literature मतलब इसके पहले किसी ने किया होगा research ये area में, right? Is there like, can we say that nobody must have researched on metals, right? Performance of metal companies. ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते किसी ने तो किया होगा, क्या यही कंपनी का भी किसी ने प्रीवियस ईयर्स का किया होगा या ये साल का भी किया होगा, बट फ्रॉम अ डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव, बराबर. So I need to find literature. As many literatures I find, right? Peer reviewed. Peer reviewed matlab, see, I am a peer of some other researcher. When I'm researching on Tata Steel, somebody who has already done, say 3 years back, has also researched on Tata Steel. So obviously it is a peer. And we are reviewing each other's work. That is what it means, right? So we may check journal article, or we may check, say for example, how they have been there, what is their conclusion, what is their finding, everything is checked, right? And then we identify our problem, right? And again, I want to conduct a literature search again and again. Any research you want a thorough knowledge of what has been done, what has not been done, how it has been done, what was their conclusion, finding, everything needs to be done properly. Those problems are to be addressed so that I can apply the same method or I can apply a different method. And again, obviously, literature reviews are the best source of a research problem. जो gap रहता है ना, I can fill that gap, right? So when I fill that gap, मतलब see, somebody has researched till 2023, 2024 किसी ने नहीं किया है, मैं कर, right? Somebody has researched about, say, Hindalco, Hindustan Aluminium Company. So I am doing something very similar to Tata Steel, right? So these are some literatures. किसी ने किया है वो reports मैं देख रही हूँ. आप भी एकदम आपको जब topic choose करना होगा, you will check. You will see if people have done research. But unfortunately, what students do is they copy the same thing and get जो topic किया है. That is not the way it has to be done. You search if there are projects done. See what they have done. and see what they have left out. जो उनसे छूट गया है ना, वो उठा के आप आपको रिसर्च करना होगा. Then it adds value. Otherwise, it adds no value. So again, when you read a chosen material, right, you may also say for example, my findings was that because of the additional advertising expenditure that I incurred, my revenues were boosted up. But I find that somebody says that it is an additional expenditure, 30% आपने additional expenditure and 53% was the increase in your revenue. But can we not try it this way? Give an incentive to the employees and you can make it 20% and ये 20% को आप 45% return take सकते हो, या you can get the same 60% return, revenue boost up, because they will perform well, they will work on targets because they want to earn more. This is how you can try in a different way. Somebody else has done it this way. Or you find somebody's argument is actually unsatisfactory. So you can make your approach better and you can make your approach more appropriate, so that you can see how I overcome somebody else's studies limitation. समझ में आ रहा है आपको? किसी और के स्टडी में कुछ कमी होगी, वो कमी को आप पूरा करते हो आपके स्टडी के थ्रू, वो भी आप कर सकते हो. जननी काल पढ़ रहे. Yeah, I'm sorry. Any doubts so far? Any doubts so far?
No, ma'am.
So ये जो आइडिया आपने लिया है किसी और के रिसर्च पेपर से, राइट, उसको आपको जरूर साइट करना है. इट हैज हेल्प्ड यू फॉर्म योर न्यू आइडिया. उसका स्टडी का कमी था, वो आप पूरा कर रहे हो, तो भी उसके स्टडी से ही आपको आइडिया मिला था. सो वी कॉल इट एज साइट. साइट मतलब रेफरेंस देना होगा, इसके स्टडी के बेसिस पे ही मैंने ये किया था, राइट. How did you do? How did you feel? You filled the gap because you filled somebody else's already studied and then reported. वो report को आप पूरा कर रहे हो. So you are making that as a reference of your study. Any doubts so far?
No, ma'am.
I think we stop it here and then this one we will continue more. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. I hope you all understood. Anyone who did not understand any part or if anything needs to be repeated, please let me know. I'll share this slide also with you. Did you get the slides yesterday?
Yes, ma'am.
So just go through them. I will share some notes also with you. Okay? And once you see through the notes, you feel if there is anything that needs to be repeated, or if there is anything that needs to be done in a different way, please feel free to communicate. Yes, Deepak.
Ma'am, when can we expect your offline lecture?
Offline, I told ma'am, maybe in another, I come on a Saturday for 2-3 Saturdays, and then, you will have your, we'll have something practical, like how we write a research report, how we identify a topic, right?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Anything else? But are you able to understand?
Yeah, ma'am, we are able to understand. We just need practical demonstration. So that's why we wanted offline lecture, because we will be more frank, more inclined towards question and answer when we will be offline. So that's why we're able to understand here also. But I was just inquisitive whether we have any offline lectures or not for this one.
So can I give you a small task? Where identify 5 problems, it could be based on a day-to-day activity. 5 problems that even a basic research, just as I told you, how to commute to work so that I reach on time, right? Those kind of activities. So if you can list five such, then I will be, I mean, it's easy for me to see what you have understood. If you can justify that also.
Ma'am, can you repeat that again?
Yeah, I want you to identify 5 tasks which is worth the research. Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
class. 5 tasks from you can start from morning till evening. Okay, class, are you able to understand? Any 5 tasks till you go to bed. Next, tomorrow we will discuss this. Okay, and we can see how best can we convert it into a research problem.
Okay, ma'am.
And just
Just ma'am, one more thing. If you can write it down in the WhatsApp also in the group,
yeah,
so
yeah,
we
yeah.
will just remind ourselves, right?
Sure, sure. Because I want you to understand how a research problem can be framed. If there is anything that you if you have made a mistake, I will tell you this is not how you frame it. This is how you frame it, right?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
I'll just give you a poll. Okay, fine. Maybe I think I've shared a poll. Okay, I've shared a poll. Did you receive it? Have you received the poll?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please fill that in before we wind up? Just take a minute out and fill it in.
Done, ma'am.
Ma'am, seems you're on mute.
This gets added to the class attendance also. So please request all your classmates to fill it.
Hello, ma'am. Hello. Hello.
Are we done? Should I end the meeting? Because I've not received many responses. There are only 2 responses. Then, okay, I will wind up now. I'll end the meeting here. We'll catch up. Okay? Have a nice day. Bye.